I'm Adam, and I'm talking to Dave and Ryan McKeithron from the Warped 45s. How you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks for coming in. I have a question for you. My first question was inspired by your official bio, actually, and please don't disappoint me with the answer. You know what's coming. What type of music do you play?
Yeah. We were trying to be helpful by coming up with some new monikers and stuff, but it's it essentially falls into the alt country camp. But because of some of the darker lyrics and stuff, an author friend of ours came up with Northern Gothic, and we're like, hey, that sounds pretty cool. And then I'd written a series of songs I was working on that I was tentatively put in the folder called Back Porch of the Apocalypse, which was like an idea of like, hey, the world's ending, but your friends are still sitting around singing songs about it with acoustic instruments, watching the world go. So I kind of went with that, and alt country noir, someone else threw out. So we just threw that in the bio as a new place to start, but people tend to just call it roots rock.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, there's some folk country, well, a lot of stuff.
There's just so much stuff going on, and we just thought.
Yeah, I think ultimately, the song come first. You start with an idea, and hopefully build a good story or some good lyrics around that. And
well, it made me think. I interviewed Elliot Brood a couple of weeks ago. You know those guys.
Friends of ours.
Yeah.
Casey's on a couple tracks on the album.
Oh, that's right too. Yeah, and they call themselves Death Country. I think that's
Death Country.
Yeah, and Blackgrass.
It's like, why are you all country bands so sad?
We're afraid of them because yeah.
Because they're scary.
Yeah, they make us sadder than we already are. So
yeah, I can understand that, I guess. So your new album is Matador Sunset. You won with John Critchley to produce this one. Do you even discuss who's going to produce it anymore, or is it just automatic?
Well, we're just in there. We're a team. I was already in Parkdale, and lots of great acts were already working with John. It was close for us. We started practicing there. And we got him to do a couple demos, and that grew into the EP. It was well received. We liked it. We went through the whole 10-day Poem for Saskatchewan process together. Again, well received. And we, by that time, like, you've built up such a rapport and knowing how each other work, and you trust, and a trust, really. It doesn't, unless there's some real reason to go somewhere else. The music on Matador Sunset was already in a bit of a different direction anyway, so we didn't feel a need for like having another producer, changing our sound or giving us something new,
John's got a great ear, and he spoke Elliot Brood earlier. The last few years he's worked on a couple Elliot Brood records, and he did
Dan
Mangan's record too, and we just loved the material he was making.
And Arbuckle, so
yeah, so it was a natural fit.
Yeah.
Okay. First song on the album is Pale Horse. Dave, did you write the lyrics?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
There's some vivid imagery. I'm not going to quote any lyrics.
Okay.
People should really hear you sing it for themselves.
Okay.
But how do you have to get into a certain headspace to describe something so that people can't help but picture it, really?
Well, I do definitely want people to kind of get mental pictures. They don't necessarily have to see it how I see it, but I hope it at least lends itself to the imagination and picturing stuff on their own. Those lyrics actually came out of a series of nightmares I had. I was working in a paint factory of a paint area of a bus factory, commercial bus factory, and I was sanding and cleaning off buses after sanding between paint coats, and I think I got a little bit too into the paint thinner, and I moved up north to Algonquin Park, and and I was surrounded by all this beautiful imagery and lakes and clean lakes and pristine, beautiful nature, and yet I couldn't sleep, and I just had nightmares every night, and I would wake up sweating from nightmares and cold sweats every night, and I just I'm a songwriter, so I started to write down some of the imageries and stuff and process it, and yeah, there you go.
Wow, that sounds like that was an absolutely terrifying experience.
It was actually not great, yeah.
But it resulted in a great song, at least. Yes.
And there actually were rodents in the walls, so that's actually
that wasn't
literal.
There wasn't an hallucination there, actually.
No, that wasn't. I had a family of red squirrels, and I was doing renovations, so there's a lot of holes in the walls, and they like to, on top of their nightmares, they like to run from hole to hole, chirping at me and waking me up so I couldn't sleep when I did sleep, and they'd pop out of different holes every time I like threw boots at them and stuff. So, yeah.
But were they really there?
I think they were there. I'm
Because
pretty
honestly,
sure they were
that
there.
sounds like a bit of an acid trip, kind
Yeah.
of rodent behavior, really. But another song that's really interesting musically and lyrically is "Grime of Earthly Glory." It's funny because to me it sounds like it could be played in church. But the lyrics are kind of the opposite of what I imagine people hear in church.
Yeah.
Really? How did that one come together?
I just couldn't, it just couldn't resist the idea of kind of a gospel rock song about sin. Yeah. And it's kind of the genesis of that. And no malice intended. My mom was a minister and stuff, so I definitely have a lot of that imagery that came by naturally and stuff. And I don't know what to do with it, so I use it when I can.
Okay. Blade Thrower's Wife, a beautiful song.
Thanks.
How did you end up writing in that character? What led you to writing that?
Yeah.
Is this another paint thinner story?
No. Well before the paint thinner, actually, and it's a song that kind of came back to me, and we reworked as a band, and kind of became something new, and I was trying to, when I initially wrote the lyrics, I was just trying to picture something that was about sacrifice in a relationship, and inequality, and I just thought that's kind of the image that came up in that, this symbiotic relationship that they need each other for this show, but it's really not fair in any way, and one person is completely giving of themselves so the other person can succeed, and grew into that.
Communicated very effectively.
Thank you.
One more song I want to talk about, Grandpa Carl. Was Carl Kennedy your grandfather?
He was my great-grandfather.
Oh, I just wasn't sure if that was...
Yeah, he was a great-grandfather on my mother's side, and a bit of a character, and we grew up basically just listening to stories about Carl and his mischievous ways.
Did you know him?
No, I didn't. He died before I was born, so...
Yeah, okay, I wasn't sure about the timeline of that.
Yeah.
Sorry. What led you to writing a song? Because he did some pretty extraordinary things.
Yeah, we grew up in a family of storytellers, so I think, by osmosis, I think, over the years, there's 1,000 stories about him, but that was the one that always stuck with me, even when I was a little kid. I liked that idea of this, daring man out on the river with his speedboats, and, and the story I was told, whether it's true or not, was that, he got caught by the Coast Guard, or he saw them coming. He lit his boat on fire to burn all the evidence and jumped in the water, and ended up losing everything and moving back up north to our family's hometown. So that's I was saying to someone before, it's sort of that uncertainty in truth that sort of makes a good story.
The song gives me goosebumps, really, just the way you tell the story, and I'm hoping he's going to be featured as a character in Boardwalk Empire. I watched the show, but I think that'd be appropriate.
Yeah.
All right, well, the album is Matador Sunset. I think it's a great record. Been recommending it to people, and thanks so much for coming back.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Pleasure.